Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me. I am still Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com. It is still in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to me directly. I am Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today we're discussing a model that launched in 2008 and has only been produced in a few dozen examples. From Bethune, this is the DB24, and it is a large, unconventional watch with a lot of forward thinking in its engineering, ergonomics, and details. Taking a look at the size, it's big. At face value, 48 millimeters seems overpowering, but at 52.5 millimeters from lug-to-lug, it's actually not that large. 14.4 millimeters thick, it has a spacing of 26 millimeters between the lugs. I'm going to throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, so you can get a sense of it. Well, I do feel that the watch dimensionally is too large for me. It's very light and very comfortable. It would sit quite securely, but I would say for proportion's sake, you probably want a wrist of 17 centimeters circumference or larger to wear this. Here's your down the barrel shot, so you can see the lugs against the edge of my wrist, and then here's your over the top, which I think is kind of definitive. You can see this watch is just a little bit large for me. Again, 17 centimeters circumference and up, you're good to go. It isn't as thick as you might think, being under 15 millimeters thick with a sloped and stepped bezel. It will fit underneath jacket cuffs. We got this lovely carbon pattern on a strap of leather, calfskin. You can see a Bethune factory strap, brand new, no crimping, no gouging. At Bethune, buckles are always model specific. So here we have a combination of this angular profile that matches the angular fluted profile of the lugs, but then we also have a media blast finish and a light firing of the titanium to turn it slate blue. The same treatment has been lavished on the bezel as well as the hands and the fixing bolts for the chaptering of the dial. So there's always that design parallelism between the buckle and the watch at Bethune. Now this is grade 5 titanium, which has the advantage of being lighter than steel and hypoallergenic like grade 2, but it is also harder than grade 2 and thus more difficult to scratch. We have a extensively knurled and drilled crown that is a screw down. The DB20 series varies from well over 100 to 300 meters water resistant. So these are sports watches. They were among the first sports watches made by Bethune with that screw down crown. Just put it on a rubber strap or a cloth strap, maybe a NATO, and you can take it swimming. The bezel is a media blast finish, but it is also titanium. It's been fired to give it this wonderful slate blue with a matte tone. Looking carefully, you can see that the inner bezel, which is fixed by these distinctive bolts that almost look as though they're slots or rouleau triangles, you can see that there is a faceting to the bezel. So within the circle of the larger bezel, we have this internal faceting. A lot of design nuance going here, plus a tonal contrast in the raw titanium finish of these screws so that they contrast with the blue. Now inboard, we have a multi-tier dial that's made out of titanium. You can see outboard, we have this dished scale that rises proud of the center dial. Against that, you can read the minutes, and there are sectors, so it is a very high-tech style sector dial. And then we drop down, shear from that to the center dial, which includes a combination of satin finish or brushing in circular fashion, and then media blast of the recesses. You can also see we have a very dark blue print across the dial, the sectors as well as the numerals, the nameplate. We have hands that are titanium, alternately polished, and then media blasted and blued to that same slate color. A turbine-like perforation at the center that allows you to see a different metal tone through those little mini spokes. Power reserve indicator up at the top of the dial. Now the watch is automatic winding. As it winds, charges, and discharges, it will turn from black to red and then red to black all over again. It is a grill-covered, color-changing power reserve indicator, and the power reserve indicator charts 6 days of automatic winding power reserve. So titanium case, titanium dial. It is worth mentioning that Bethune makes its own cases, dials, and movements in-house. So the watch you get is all Bethune. Now you can see similar treatment on the reverse side as well as a similar pattern to what you find on the dial. So the parallelism is immense. We have a rotor in blued titanium with a mass in precious metal, white gold mass, blued rotor. You can see it's held on by 4 polished screws on each side. By making the rotor extremely broad, you create an enormous moment or turning force. But because it is broad, not only does it rotate, but it might also torque, and that torsional action can damage the bearing at center. So Denis Flageolet, co-founder and watchmaking chief creator from the beginning to the present at de Bethune, he decided to create a shock protection system for the ball bearings. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 cantilever springs to protect from that kind of torsional movement. And then we have little rubies in each one, so when the spring comes in contact with the rotor, there's less friction. We also have 1, 2, 3 shock protection springs for the balance. This improves both timekeeping, that is chronometry, under rough conditions, but it also helps prevent you from getting a damaged watch by protecting the narrow pivot of the balance staff. And you can see how it features a combination of blued titanium for the bridge itself, and then satinated and micro-beveled stainless steel, or you can see steel, for the shock protection system for the patented triple pair chute. We also have a patented balance. It's non-annular, which is to say it's not a ring. It's actually shaped like a yoke, and it has a yoke made of blued titanium and then masses made of platinum. De Bethune has patented no fewer than 10 different balance wheels. The idea always to concentrate as much of the mass in the rim as possible, reduce the parasitic losses due to aerodynamics, and then reduce the effects of temperature change on timing. It's a 4 Hertz beat rate, so it doesn't need a slow beat rate to achieve that 6-day power reserve. Then you can see de Bethune's patented hairspring profile. It's a flat hairspring, but you can see because of the dog leg kink, it breathes concentrically due to centered mass, the way an overcoil would. So it has the best advantages of both a flat hairspring and an overcoil. It's actually 2 pieces of metal cut in half, clamped back together after hand shaping, and it is one of de Bethune's many patented innovations protecting this movement. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.